So we're up to Mark Antony meeting Cleopatra. Going to recall the details of their first meeting, understand Antony's actions or try to, and evaluate some sources. Plutarch, our main source, Tarsus, the city where they meet, seduction, manipulation, fool. Antony is often portrayed as a bit of a fool in the sources. Theatrical, campaign, military campaign. Parthia, who's going to attack, preparation. So 41 BC. Mark Antony is one of the triumvirs, then one of the leaders of the second triumvirate, and he is given the eastern half of the Roman Empire, which is the best bit, the richest bit. And he goes in 41 BC, he heads east, he heads to the city of Tarsus in modern day Turkey. And what he wants is all the rulers under his clan, all the client kings, everybody who owes him a favour, to turn up at Tarsus with money and troops. He's gathering together his forces for an attack on Parthia. The war with the Parthians is the obsession of the Romans of this period. Parthia is the last major empire, the last to stand in their way, the last great enemy to the east, modern day Persia, Iran, where the Parthians are based. And the Romans have tried it before. Remember, Mark Antony leads the second triumvirate. The second one. There was a first one. Featured Julius Caesar, Pompey the Great, and a man called Crassus. And in 53 BC, Crassus had attacked the Parthian Empire and been absolutely crushed. His army wiped out, the standards of the legions captured. Crassus himself had been captured, and famously the Parthians had executed him by pouring molten gold down his mouth because he liked money so much. This is a fantastically effect on the Romans. This was a humiliation that had to be put right. And just as importantly, if Mark Antony wants to go down in history as a great Roman, he has to beat somebody worth beating. Julius Caesar has conquered Gaul. The man who can conquer the Parthians will get such a triumph, be such a famous Roman, and that's what Mark Antony wants. So he goes to Tarsus and gathers his forces there. He sends for Cleopatra, not everybody else, and she, according to our sources, really takes her time. She's summoned and she doesn't turn up. And when she finally turns up, it's in some huge pleasure barge, purple sails, incense billowing, and she proceeds to weave a spell, according to our sources, around Mark Antony, to seduce him, and they become lovers. And he becomes besotted with her, and that's the cause of all the problems that happen afterwards. And let's look at the sources now. All these sources here are going to be from Plutarch. He's our big source, isn't he, for all this? He went across to Asia, took possession of the welfare, he's attacking the Parthians. He seduced lots of wives of various kings, while Octavian's being worn out fighting in Rome. And if you read all this here, you can see this is Plutarch giving you a version of who Mark Antony is. He surrounds himself with scoundrels, actors, musicians, scum like that, and they just take control of him. He wants a good time, they give him a good time, and he rewards them, because he himself is straightforward by nature, slow to realize things are happening, not very clever, generous, far more likely to give favors than punishments. Anyone could make a joke with him. He's a bluff, quite charming, but not very clever man. And he never realized that some men speak bluntly, openly using it like some spicy seasoning to hide the sickly taste of the flattery. So Plutarch's saying here that Mark Antony is easily manipulated. He's just that sort of bloke. He's too straightforward a character. So it's in this situation that Cleopatra turns up. So Antony's character, in this final disaster, his love for Cleopatra overtook him. So you read all this yourself. He's preparing for the Parthian War. He orders her to turn up. Cleopatra takes her time. She understood Romans from her previous affairs with Julius Caesar, so she hoped that she would more easily bring Antony under her power. So Plutarch saying that all along Cleopatra planned to seduce Mark Antony. She deliberately took her time in turning up in Tarsus as part of her seduction of him. She received many requests from Antony, and she treated them with such contempt and laughed at him that when she finally sailed up there, she had a golden ship, purple sails. She herself lay beneath a canopy embroidered with gold, dressed like Aphrodite in some paintings. She makes a big theatrical entrance. So Mark Antony comes down to see her. Antony supplies a banquet for her, trying to impress her. He makes jokes, and Cleopatra saw in these jokes Antony a lot of the soldier and the common man, and used this way of behaving towards him. So again, Plutarch saying that she's manipulating him. She perceives he's a straightforward bloke. All right, she knows how to deal with him. She shows confidence, no restraint. Her beauty, we are told, is not outstanding. Yet, being with her had an inescapable hold. When talking with her, she was persuasive, and the character which surrounded her whole manner in company had a force to it. She had a pleasant voice, etc., etc. So she's seducing him. She's manipulating him. She can see what sort of man he is and can figure out how to get him to do what she wants. In this way, Cleopatra so completely took control of Antony that while Fulvia, his wife, was waging war on his behalf with Octavian, and a Parthian army was threatening Mesopotamia, that's part of the Roman possessions to the east, he let himself be carried off by her to Alexandria. There, like a young man with time on his hands for leisure, he wasted his time spending it upon amusements and pleasure. It's all Cleopatra's fault. He's lovesick. Instead of preparing for the war with the Parthians, he follows her back to Alexandria and spends the winter with her, lovesick. It's at this point that her sister Arsinoe, her last remaining relative, is killed. She's been imprisoned in a temple in Ephesus. Over the winter, Cleopatra convinces Mark Antony to have her killed. Again, taken as a sign of that she's completely in control of him. And Cleopatra displayed her flattery, not like Plato citing four swords. While Antony was spending his time either in some amusement or some serious matter, she was always bringing some new pleasurable diversion or charming activity, so keeping him well trained and under control day and night. She played dice with him, drank with him, hunted with him. When he exercised in full armor, she watched him. They dressed for slaves together, going around Alexandria. Basically, she is in complete control of Mark Antony, according to Plutarch. So, why, apart from it being the truth, might Antony be portrayed as he is by Plutarch? It's one of the big questions we've got to answer. All this, everything we read about Cleopatra from Plutarch, makes Mark Antony look like an idiot, a lovesick idiot under the control of Cleopatra. And it could be this is all part of the plan to make the coming war look like all Cleopatra's fault. Not Mark Antony. He's a bit of a fool, but he's a good guy. It's all her fault. She's doing it on purpose, according to Plutarch.